have new music? Week 15, we're really jacking things up around here. Who said we had budget cuts? These two are wearing the same shirt, so maybe we do. I don't know. It's Talk the Line, everybody. Here we go. Colin, pretty good, man. 3-1 so far on your Blazing 5. You got Baltimore and Cleveland tonight. On the other side here, J-Mac, you're 2-3 on your pick 6. And you guys are on different sides of this Ravens-Cleveland game. We will get into that in just a second. But first, let's take a look at Week 15 lines. Colin, what jumps out to you?
Well, there's a couple of them. I think one of my favorite lines of the year is Washington getting 5 at home. I need to know who their quarterback is, and if they are healthy at running back and at quarterback, that's one of the better lines of the year. I think that's why the line is elevated to Washington +5 is the lack of identity at quarterback right now for them. But Washington is playing well. Their defensive line is going to absolutely frustrate the Seahawks' weakness, which is their offensive line. That could be a really ugly, low-scoring game where field goals, reign supreme. That's an interesting line to keep your eye on. Watch Washington football team and their health at running back and quarterback.
Yeah, they had 2 defensive touchdowns yesterday. The news on Alex Smith being evaluated, so I'm sure more will come out on him later in the week. Jasu, what jumps out at you?
You look at the home dogs this past week, they were 5-4 against the spread, 2 outright winners. Of course, Philadelphia pulling the big upset. I would caution everybody to be careful with inflated lines this week, okay? We're seeing a lot of non-playoff teams, and everybody thinks they have nothing to play for against a team in the hunt. And, you're just sitting here looking at Tennessee, Detroit, and you're like, Detroit's going to have no chance. Tennessee needs to win. Just be careful. Those lines are a little bit inflated.
What's inflated is not my bank account because I lost money again on the Chiefs. They're 0-5 against the spread. I bet on them in that late surge by the – I know, Colin, you're shaking your head at me.
Well, you have a history of being attracted to flashy.
You're right. And you know where that gets me?
Nothing.
Nowhere. Divorced is where it gets me. So let's look at this. We got the Chiefs at the Saints. Saints, a home underdog. 4 points here and a total of 51. Colin, who do you like and why?
Well, New Orleans was a number 1 seed last week, and now I'm supposed to give them 4 at home. Now, the concern is Taysom Hill. 3 of the 4 lowest scoring games for the Saints this year have been with Taysom Hill. So, like Jalen Hurts, the more video you get, the more film you get on these run-first quarterbacks, people figure them out. But, boy, I'm going to have a hard time. The Chiefs have been in 5 straight one-possession games. I think their defense is showing some vulnerable signs. I'm going to take the Saints plus the points at home. I just think in 1 week, I'm supposed to go from thinking the Saints have the best roster to getting 4 at home. Kansas City's defense is not playing great football right now. Miami was missing their 3 best running backs, 3 rookies in the offensive line. 2 has had 5 starts, and that thing late got interesting.
Yeah. Kansas City hasn't covered 5 straight, which is crazy. And I don't know, I look at them on the fast track indoors, and I think, man, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, what did some other teams do to New Orleans? Well, the Packers crushed them. They scored 37 points. We saw New Orleans go into the Raiders. What do they call that? The dome they've got in Vegas now. And, Vegas scored a lot of points.
I get it wrong. Colin, you're a big Vegas guy. Isn't it Allegiant?
Yes, it is. It's the Allegiant Air.
I think they're calling it the Roomba because it looks like the Roomba that goes around your family room and cleans up. They scored 34 points, and you look around, Justin Herbert had success against the Saints secondary. Pat Mahomes, all of a sudden he's out of the MVP race, right? It's Aaron Rodgers. Well, I wouldn't bet against Pat Mahomes. I'm looking at KC here.
Okay, well, you know what? Let me know how that works out for you because this is going to be the 1 week I don't bet on them, and then it's going to come back to bite me. Moving on, Buccaneers at the Falcons, -5 in this one with a point total of 50.5. Every single week, it's like we're at Magic Mountain with this Tampa Bay team. It's the ride. They're great. They're terrible. They're going to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's old. Which one is it this week, Colin? Who you got and why?
I would take Atlanta. If Dan Bailey had had a better day kicking, I think Minnesota beats Tampa. Tampa was really out of sorts in the first half. Leonard Fournette's a healthy scratch. Mike Evans is having his worst year in a long time. I see no identity. I think you have an Atlanta team fighting like crazy with a coaching staff that wants to retain their positions. I think Tampa's a better team. The number's too big. I'm going to take Atlanta to cover here.
These two play twice in the next 3 weeks. No Julio Jones for this one. And we saw that Atlanta offense kind of sputter in Los Angeles. Matty Ice, 2 fourth-quarter interceptions against the Chargers. I don't know. I'm just uninspired by what I see from Atlanta. And that defense, I think Brady can have some success. But Colin, you're right. Coming off the bye, Brady looked really bad in the first quarter. It was just like, a big steep learning curve to get back into it. Then he hit Scotty Miller deep, and it was game on, and Tampa won. But they did not look impressive. I don't know. I want to think this is a Super Bowl-worthy team because the advanced stats love Tampa. They're all over them. They're a top 5 team, but then you watch them, and there's this big disconnect. I would lean Tampa here, but not with a lot of convincing fashion.
I don't know if I've ever looked at an advanced stat. Where do you get those?
So I like to check out Football Outsiders. They do a lot of really good stuff. And Warren
Aaron
Sharp's
Schatz,
website.
Is that you?
Yeah, Aaron Schatz, a good friend of mine. He comes on my radio show.
Yeah, it's always like, you know what advanced stats are? They're like the dark web. Everybody always talks about the dark web, and I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know.
So they're able to look at every play and break it down, whereas if you just look at total yards, you look at garbage time. Seattle, put in Geno Smith in the fourth quarter. The advanced stats weed out that entire fourth quarter and are like, this is what matters earlier in the game. Again, it's helped me a little bit in gambling in the last 2 years.
I'll take all the help I can get because, I've never been good at math. Geometry was more my thing. Obtuse, acute, it's not important. Game 3, Seahawks at Washington. Colin, you're just talking about Washington here on this one. Jay, so let's start with you and then we'll go back to Colin. Who do you like and why?
Yeah, the quarterback situation is everything, right? Because we know Rivera did not like Haskins earlier this year. Remember they banished him from the facility for like 3 or 4 weeks. It's very strange. But they could not move the football, Colin, against San Francisco. I think they had under 200 yards of total offense. I saw an advanced stat that Washington is the only first-place team that's dead last in the NFL in QBR. Now, they have had 3 different quarterbacks, Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, and Haskins, but I don't know, man. Seattle, I just feel like this team's rounding into form. I know you both have Seattle connections. That defense smothered the Jets, and I mean smothered them. And I know it's the Jets and Sam Darnold, blah, blah, blah. I think Seattle really has a chance, guys. To me, I feel like this is a Super Bowl team. Look at the running backs. Finally, they're healthy. Carson and Hyde both looking better. The offensive line, though, as Colin pointed out, is the big story. Can they block Chase Young, who was utterly dominant this past week?
That's been the story for them since 2010. I mean, there's always been the issue of offensive line, and Russell Wilson's made up for the deficiencies there. Colin, you were high on them against the Giants, then they fell to them. We know what happened there. But beating on the Jets, are you still high on Seattle, yeah?
Yeah, Seattle's really an interesting team, but they've got a flaw. When they face good defensive lines, the Giants, Aaron Donald, or Washington's, they overwhelm Seattle's offense. So I see this as an ugly, low-scoring game where Washington's defensive line really controls Seattle's tempo. Seattle can win, but I'd like the 5.
For what it's worth, the Hawks, whenever they're favored by more than 3, they're 1-5 against the spread over the last 6. So pay attention to that. Moving on, we got Patriots at the Dolphins. We're looking at 2.5 here and 42.5 for the point total. Colin, who do you like in this one?
I love Miami. I think Miami really flustered Patrick Mahomes for the first half. I think Miami has a ton to play for. I think they have a better roster. I think Tua's not making mistakes. Remember, against Kansas City, Kyle Van Noy was out. They were down to their 4th string running back, and they still had a puncher's chance at the end. One of my favorite bets. I like Miami. For the record, New England has struggled in this game when they're good.
Yes.
It's still 80 degrees down there for a cold weather team. I'll take Miami.
So Miami, the most profitable team in the league this year, 10-3 against the spread. I've been great on Miami this year. They've won me a lot of money. I will say this, Bill Belichick, Colin, against rookie quarterbacks, 25-5. He hasn't lost to a rookie quarterback in the last 11 starts. We saw what he did to Herbert a couple weeks ago. Tua, by the way, if you guys watch that Miami game, the receivers started dropping like flies. Parker went down in the first half. Jakeem Grant, their starting slot receiver, went down. Mike Gesicki, their tight end, who's really had a connection with Tua, he got hurt. So by the end of the game, Tua was thrown to like Mac Hollins and some guy named Lynn Bowden, a rookie from Kentucky. I would just be very careful going Tua against Belichick, given his history rattling rookie quarterbacks.
It's a good point. There's a lot of guys banged up. There was a lot of guys, to Colin's point, banged up before that game even started. The Patriots 3-1 straight up in their last 4 as the dog. We're looking at Eagles, Cardinals. Philadelphia fans, here we go. Jalen Hurts has been named the starter in this one as well after his performance yesterday. 48 points and 6 on our point spread. Colin, you like it? Why?
I like Arizona -6. If there's any defense that knows how to deal with a mobile running quarterback, it's Arizona's defense, because they see it every day at practice. So they're not going to look at Jalen Hurts as a massive challenge. This is what they see at practice every day, and Hurts is not nearly the runner that Kyler Murray is. Also, when Kyler's healthy and gets 10-plus carries, Arizona wins. I like the matchup here for Arizona at home. Huge game for them. They still have a shot to get in. Wild card team. I'll take the Cards.
I'm with you 100%. So Colin likes to talk about buying boats with picks. This one's the one where I kind of put all my kids' college tuition money on Kyler Murray in Arizona. Charissa, I lost on the Saints against the Eagles, but I watched that game. And the injuries, the entire Philly secondary was injured. Everybody went down, and Taysom Hill had success in the second half. If those guys are banged up, Maddox, a safety, another cornerback, Kyler Murray's going to have a ton of success. I really like Arizona. And what I saw, Colin, I know you had the Giants, and I saw Kyler Murray running in the first quarter.
Oh, he drove the Giants nuts.
Oh, it's over. If Kyler Murray's backed healthy and that shoulder's fine, he's a guy to watch. You guys know I'm bullish on Kyler Murray, but I really like Arizona a lot here.
All right, you know what? I'm with you guys, because the way that I performed yesterday was so terrible that my dogs, as you can see, are in the background because I couldn't afford dog daycare today. So I need to get some money back. Bills Broncos is next for us. We're looking at 4.5 here with a point total of 48. Buffalo looked good last night.
I like Denver. Buffalo has played a series of very big emotional games. This is your letdown. You go into the mountains. Drew Lock had his best game as a pro. Vic Fangio is a tremendous defensive coach. And Josh Allen's still young. This feels like a letdown game for me off of these short week, Sunday night football, a little shorter week, go all the way cross country. Don't know if Denver wins. That Denver win over Carolina was really impressive. A lot of the sharps were on Carolina early in the week and pounded that. That line moved. So I'll take Denver in the 4.5 and feel good about it, and I will not be a gracious winner.
I think that's one of your sharper plays, Charissa. The way he explained that, I hadn't totally thought about it. I'm looking ahead to the next week for Buffalo when they can clinch the division against Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and they would love to do that in New England. I think you're right, Colin. This is a perfect letdown spot. Now, listen, I don't like Drew Lock a whole heck of a lot, but he showed well with the kid Hamler, the rookie, and Jerry Jeudy.
First of all, his ball cuts through bad weather.
Yeah.
He's kind of a, listen, if you look at Denver, they've got real players, like rush ends, receivers. Yeah. Like this Denver team is a quarterback away, just quarterback consistency away from being really good.
And remember, you watched Josh Allen last night, okay, against the best defensive front in the league. TJ Watt did nothing. He was on a milk carton. The guy couldn't touch Josh Allen. Allen got sacked only once in that game. And everybody's going to be backing Buffalo here, so I'm with you, Colin. I think this is a sharp play on Denver. I think this probably goes up, right? Because everybody's going to bet Buffalo. If I could get a 6 with Denver, I would love it. I don't know if it'll get that high.
Okay. Again, I'm just writing this down because I'm so far in the hole that I need all the help that I can get. Game number 7 for us in Week 15. We're looking at the Bears at the Vikings. Minnesota -3.5 here with a point total of 46. Colin?
Well, everybody now looks at Chicago. Oh, Trubisky played well. I would probably take the 3.5 with Chicago. Little fool's gold. I just don't think Houston came to play. Warm weather team went to Chicago. That thing was over. The first play, Chicago broke it open. There are Sundays in games. Some teams you could tell the Giants yesterday. They just were not ready to play. Texans were not ready to play. I think now the Bears are always a popular public team. So you're going to get a little bit of money on the Bears this week. Minnesota should have beaten Tampa. They missed 3 field goals and an extra point. So Minnesota's the better team. But it's a hook. I like the 3.5. I'd take Chicago.
Yeah, I'm with you. And remember, Dan Bailey, as you noted, the Minnesota kicker, this is a guy who missed all 3 of his field goals, missed his extra point, kind of a disaster. And when you talk about a game with a hook, I want no part of Minnesota. By the way, fun stat on Trubisky. Charissa, you'll love this. Trubisky in the red zone last 3 games, 12 possessions, 10 touchdowns. All of a sudden, Mitch Trubisky is like doing things, which got him benched earlier this year because he was no good. And he's playing well. It's actually hurting their draft position, but I'm with Colin. I think I could take Chicago here.
It's one of those advanced stats I love. You know who's not doing that in the red zone? Patrick Mahomes.
Oh.
Ravens, Browns, we're up here. So 45.5 on this one. Colin, you got Cleveland. Yeah?
Well,
but you got it at 2.5.
Yeah, listen, the sharper play is Baltimore. The sharper play is Baltimore. I think Cleveland's got the best offensive line in football. It's a big spot. It's more fun for me to bet Cleveland. So if I lose, I can be bitter on the air and crush the Brown fans. But I know the better play is I know the wise guys are probably on Baltimore, but I do think the reason I like Cleveland is they're not Baker's team. They're Stefanski's team. And I think since Stefanski's kind of become the voice in the room, they're less chatty, less talkative, less inconsistent, more mature, more adult. I think they've got a little bit of an emotional maturity they didn't have last year. I don't think they'll melt down. And they've played in several big games this year, and most of them. Take out the first week loss to Baltimore. Kevin Stefanski never coached an NFL game. I don't even count that. Like that's like Brady losing to the Saints in week 1. I get it out of there. From that point forward, I feel like I get mostly the same Browns offense every week if the weather's okay. They played the Raiders and it was 40-mile-an-hour winds. But the weather's not going to be that bad tonight, and I'm going to take the points.
Yeah, they are calling for, 25-mile-an-hour winds? Is that
They
accurate,
are.
Charissa, tonight?
Yeah, 26-mile-an-hour winds currently with 34 degrees.
See, now that to me is scaring me on Lamar Jackson because he's had a very uneven season. I don't trust his receivers. This feels like a run-heavy, low-scoring game. Somebody wins by 3. So if you got Baltimore at 1 or 2, I think that's a great play. I don't love it as much at 3. But Baltimore also, just foul this away. Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers in the league, had a bad miss last time. I think he had last week, he broke a streak of 70 straight makes inside of 50 yards or something insane. If he delivers, I think Baltimore wins a very low-scoring game.
This is a coin to flip for me because every time I bet on Lamar Jackson, it ends up being disappointment. Both these guys coming off of great performances. That Browns run defense, though, real good. They were able to shut down Derrick Henry and give him, something like a pedestrian 60 yards or whatever. So, I don't know. Willis, what do you think? Ravens, done. I'll take the Ravens. But those of you, I say it every single week, if you're new to wagering and you want to get involved, a fun way to do that is prop bets. So the aforementioned Lamar Jackson is my prop bet of the day, under 60.5 rush yards for the reasons I just said. That Browns run defense is very good, and the Browns only allowing 104 rush yards per game. All right, we are just about done here, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe, as always, we've got a fan question. We appreciate all the support and everybody watching Talk the Line. Today, the fan question is from Daniel R. Colin, how closely do you factor in a team's record against the spread when picking, or do you look at the game on its individual merits?
Yeah, I don't care about records. I really don't. To me, I look at certain numbers. I look at momentum. I mean, the Giants. The only reason I picked the Giants this weekend, I like their momentum. They laid an egg. But I had set on Blazing 5 of my 5 picks. This is the one that scares me. But records don't mean a ton to me. I obviously, last year Miami was 0-8, but they were awful for the first 2 games, and then they got better and better and better. And I look for value. That's mostly what I look. Do I get a capable quarterback, a team with momentum and points? That's hard for me. It's like Cleveland tonight. I get a capable quarterback, well coached, with momentum. They're healthy, best offensive line, and I get a field goal. That's value to me. I'd take Cleveland.
All right. Well, I'm going to go look for some advanced stats. That's what my afternoon consists of. Colin, Jason, always a pleasure. This is Talk the Line, and we will see you guys next week.